Hello, I'm Joyce Woodworth. Welcome to the Spirit of Winona. The Winona Knitting Mills has been a part of Winona's industry since 1943, making mostly men's sweaters and a few women's sweaters like the one I have on, for instance. The story we are about to hear is twofold. We will see the process of making a sweater, but we will also see the last stitch for this knitting mill. This knitting mill will be closing in October. Let's go in and find out why. I'm standing here with Pete Woodworth, the maker of many beautiful sweaters for many, many years. Pete, what's the history of the knitting mill?
Well, the knitting mill started here in 1943 by my grandfather, Krueger Woodworth. He had a mill in Cleveland, Ohio, and they wanted additional production during the war years. He was buying a lot of wool here from the Winona Woolen Mill, Jack Temple. They invited him up here, and he came up, visited for a weekend, found this building, started a knitting mill here in November of 1943.
The most unique characteristic of this young Walker Woodworth when he began the Winona Knitting Mill in 1943 was his sense of fairness and decency to his employees. This integrity was knit, so to speak, into the fabric of the Woodworth family that ran this knitting mill since that time. In 1946, when World War II ended, Walker's son Les became the president. His other two sons, John and Walker, and his daughter Marge worked at the mill as well. In 1983, Les's son Pete became president. What was some of the attractions to this particular town?
Well, they wanted a smaller Midwestern town, a lot of good people here, good work ethic, good quality of life for himself and his family and his people to build a business, and he envisioned it being one of the finest knitting mills in the United States at some time.
And I think it was.
At that time, there were almost 5,000 knitting mills in the U.S., and about 3 years ago, we were the largest knitting mill in the United States. So we achieved his dream through what he had in mind and his 4 children, and then we're the 3rd generation to work here after that. Became quite a production. What you're in here is the knitting department. We take cones of yarn like these. They come down through these carriers into these needle holders, and we're creating the fabric of the sweaters. This actually isn't a sweater, this is a scarf, but this is a wool scarf we're doing for Eddie Bauer. And we create the fabric on these machines. This machine over here is making a front of a garment for Woolrich, and you can see it's a very fancy stitch. This is a cable stitch. Has a lot of diagonals and things with it. Now, these machines are capable of doing just about anything on a knitting machine.
These knitting machines are called flats. Each one of them has a pretty female name, and Kevin Searett, who runs the flats department, tells us how they got their names.
Just to make it fun. And I had a girl go around and pick out the older names, just to have some fun, to lighten the moment up around here. The working schedule, it gets kind of grueling after a while. And a lot of stress, and try to lighten things up a little bit.
Sure, good idea.
Have some fun.
Now, I know we're standing in the circular knitting department, right? This is kind of where it all begins. Can you
That's
tell us
right.
about it?
Sure. This department is where we take yarn like this off the cones, and instead of in the flat department where we're knitting small pieces, here we're going to knit the bodies, the fronts and backs, and the sleeves of the sweaters, and these large machines are made to do that. And we can put all different kinds of patterns and capabilities in it.
At its peak, the knitting mill employed over 500 people. 28 of them were mechanics who made sure these machines hummed along. 15 were the operators of these machines. Bob Frotsky, one of the mechanics, tells us which step these machines have in making a sweater.
This is a prototype I made at the beginning of the year of this year, and we're making it for J.C. Penney. In fact, here it's coming off the machine right here, right now. Joyce, hold that a minute. Here's a length of the garment. As you can see, it's quite long. What we determine here, the length, and we wash it and pre-shrink it till it comes out to the right size. And this is very important. This is what we call a match point on the garment. This has to be exact for this zipper to fall in place here. It can't fall into it, can't go beyond it. So this point here is very important. That's called our match point. And we got to make sure that 10-inch zipper fits in there. And This is really a nice looking garment. You probably wonder how we know where to put the cones. Well, this here is basically my job also. Was my job. You determine where the colors go. You make out a chart here. Every one of these is a section on the machine. There are 12 sections on there, and these are the fingers where the yarn goes. These are these fingers right here where the yarn goes in. So you have to figure out where they go, what color goes where to make it. And of course it's made on a machine disc like this, which is basically just loaded into the machine here. You load it into the machine, wait for it to take a hold, then you punch in your sequences, turn on the machine, and away it goes.
I'm standing here talking with the Frotsky brothers, Bob and Gary. Can you tell me how long you've worked here?
Well, when the door closes, I'll be here 42 and a half years.
Wow. How about you, Gary?
And I'll be here 33 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's like over 70 years combined.
75 years.
So you have a lot of knowledge.
A lot of time. And I started down in the warehouse and worked my way up and became a mechanic and worked through a lot of prototypes. And now I'm back where I started as an operator. I never had another job besides this place. But I did, fortunate I have a lot of schooling behind me, so it won't be as hard as a lot of the other guys. So it'd be really different looking for a new job.
Sure. How about you, Bob? What's your plan?
Well, that's a toughie for me. I'm about a good year and a half from retiring, you know. And as far as Winona, I don't know if I can find anything that would pay as good as I had here. I really enjoyed working here. Like I said, I made prototypes. That was an enjoyable job because every day I'd done something different, you know, because I was making prototypes for you name it. In fact, I even made my own sweaters here at one time. And as far as finding a job, I don't know. Like I said, I'm up there in age. If I can find somebody to train me, because this is all I've done all my life. I don't want to move. This is God's country. I want to stay here.
Jeannie's been operating a knitting machine for a long time, and she's been working in this department for a long time, right, Jeannie?
Yes, 36 years. And I enjoyed every minute of it, and I will miss it. My family all worked here. My daughter, my two daughters, both boys, and this is in my husband now. It's been nice to see the company grow from little machines to big computerized machines, and I really enjoyed it. And to see the building, how much it grew to, how much they built on, and I don't know, it's just been a nice place to work, nice and clean, and nice people.
Where are you going to go now?
I don't know for sure. I'm going to look for something with running machines. I love moving around. Oh, thank you. Oh, I enjoy it, and I'll miss you. Oh, we'll see you.
You have a wonderful group of people that have a commitment to this place, and they have terrific skills and a history of working together and becoming a viable operation. And to see it all dissipate is hard. We've worked hard together to build something, and now we're dismantling it. But we'll dismantle it with the same professionalism and thoroughness that we built it. And we'll do it right and treat our customers right and treat our people right and help them find other jobs, and we'll move on.
The knitting mill did help Jeannie Service find a job. She is employed as a machine operator at Winona, USA, and her husband is working there as well. From the knitting rooms, the sweater material is taken to the laundry, where 400 pounds of fabric is washed and extracted in a huge 3-compartment machine. After the knit fabric is dried, it is taken to the ripping department and pulled apart in sections.
She's a ripper, actually separating the pieces of fabric. The pieces are held together by nylon thread, And what she's done is snipped it so she can pull it out and put it on the machine here, and it draws it out of there for her, and that separates the pieces.
Patty, I have to tell you, this is a special job for me because I did this job when I got out of high school. Only we didn't have these nice little machines.
Oh, you did it by hand?
Yeah, we had Band-Aids around our fingers and we pulled it like that.
See, I was here in high school, and that's what they did. They didn't have those then either.
We probably worked together.
After the fabric is ripped into sections, it is passed over to one of the steam tables and pressed into wrinkle-free sweater size.
You're in the cutting department now, Joyce. The fabric that we looked at upstairs has been knit, it's been laundered, it's been steamed and pressed, has been brought down here and separated into panels. And now what we're doing is laying these panels into piles, then we'll mark the patterns on them, send them into the cutters, and they'll be cut on these big band knives. And then we'll cut out the shapes of the fronts and backs and sleeves, preparing them for sewing.
All right, this is a back, and I will be cutting your shoulder out, around, and then your armhole. Cut that baby right out of here. Cut her down the side, your side seam.
Eddie, have you ever come close to cutting your finger off?
No, well, I'll tell you the truth. 1957, I cut this here from here to here. Been here 12, going on 13 years for feet.
How do you like working at the knitting mill?
Oh, that was great. I enjoyed it. I really enjoyed it. And I loved when we had the plant down in the Crescent. Yep, I really enjoyed it.
Great. Where are you going from here, Eddie?
When I leave here, I'll be 62 in October. I think I'm going to hang her. I'm going to hang her up. I mean, I enjoyed working for Pete. I really like the man.
From the cutting department, the sweater pieces are transferred to the sewing department. In its busiest years, the knitting mill employed over 100 sewers. These women are very highly skilled in their job. It takes years of practice to become a good sewer, just like it takes years of practice to become a good piano player.
We're sitting here with Peggy, who happens to be a strapper at the mill. And she's going to tell us what exactly she's doing here so quickly.
I'm just applying strapping that gets folded back and blind hemmed, and this particular garment gets buttons and holes. This one gets zippers.
Okay. Peggy, how long has it taken you to get this fast and efficient at this job?
Oh, I guess before I reach my rate that I'm making right now, it was probably like a year.
How long have you worked here?
Altogether, 26 years.
Oh, that's a long time. So what's it like working here?
I like it here. It's family. I'm going to miss it.
Sure.
The people that work here are being forced to find other employment. They're a terrific group of people. They're highly skilled. They're dedicated. They're a great group to work with. They work well together. But they're being forced to go out and find other jobs in other industries. Fortunately, in Winona right now, there's a lot of jobs, and it's a relief to me every time one of them finds a good job that they feel excited about. But we just can't offer them the promise of a viable future in apparel right now.
Peggy, tell us what you're going to do now after the mill closes.
Right now, I have a job. They hired me at Riverside Electronics, so I have to learn a completely new lifestyle because I'll be going to second shift and not sewing.
We're getting near the end of the process now, Joyce. These sweaters now have come out of sewing and they're all completed. And now we're examining them. They go over the lights, and what she's looking for is holes in the seams.
This is the next step after they inspect the seams. What's going on in this room here?
Well, this is the pressing department. Now, everything has been examined. Everything has been examined, so now we're going to put them on the pressing table, make sure they're pressed out flat and all the seams are straight. We can do our final sizing here. It's our last chance to touch the garment before we put it in the bag for the customer.
So from the steam room, we come into the inspection room, is that correct?
Right, this is examining. They're a last chance for us to really get a good look at the garment. By now it's all made, it's pressed, it's ticketed and tagged for whoever it's going to be. It should have the price, tickets, and everything on it. And the examiners are going to look through this garment completely. We do 100% examination. And they'll look through the garment, and if it passes, they'll fold it up and send it through the bends to the baggers. You can see she starts by straightening the collar, checks the sleeves, looking at the fabric, looking at the seams, looking at the presentation of the garment. And if she's happy with it, she'll put her sticker in it, says that she examined it, folds it up, and sends it on to the customer.
What happens if it doesn't pass?
If it doesn't pass, it goes into a rework file. It could be that it needs mending, it could need re-steaming, it could need rehandling, it could need cleaning. Ultimately, all but about 1% of the garments pass, but some of them need to be rehandled to make them perfect, because we don't want to send them out of here unless they're in perfect condition.
From examining and bagging, the sweaters are placed into bins by style and size, where they are held until they are packed for shipment. Near these bins is the packing department, which is run by Marge Teig.
We pack everything for the customers into cases, as you can see, and then it goes out to the shipping area to where it gets sorted and separated and hangs out there until the day it needs to be shipped.
How long have you been doing this job, Marge?
15, 16 years.
So
A
how
long
do you
time.
feel about the mill closing?
Not kind of sad about it, you know.
What's going to happen with you? Where are you going to go from here?
We're moving. We're selling our house and we're moving.
Well, what's happened now? I understand that the mill is closing. Tell me why it's closing.
The knitting mill is closing because it just costs too much to manufacture the product in this country. Our federal government has lowered the costs of doing business in the United States. They've passed the NAFTA, which allows Canada and Mexico to have quota-free, duty-free access to the U.S. The GATT agreements have allowed other countries reduced costs to get product to this country. Our customers have realized that they can buy product made overseas a lot less expensively than we can make it. And we've found that, frankly, we can buy the product cheaper than we can make it.
I'm going to miss you. I'm going to miss everybody here.
Thanks. I'll miss you too.
Yeah.
And is the federal government helping you at all with replacing these people in other jobs?
The federal government has a program called NAFTA TAA, which is for companies that are shutting down due to the NAFTA Act. We qualified for that, so we're working with the Minnesota relocation group. There's a whole smorgasbord of benefits for people that are caught up in this. They can get schooling and training for up to 2 years. They can get unemployment for up to 2 years. To help them find a new career. The government's very interested in helping them move on and become involved in another profession, since the apparel manufacturing isn't viable anymore.
We're entering what was the conference area for the Winona Knitting Mills, and there's something going on here today.
Joyce, this is a job fair. This is a chance for other companies to come in, set up, and tell our people a little bit about their company. So our people can come down here in our location on our time, visit with 6, 7 other companies, find out what kind of job opportunities they have or training opportunities. The VOTEC schools are here, try and help our people get relocated.
We at the Technical College can work with the Winona Knitting Mills employees either through our traditional programming or our custom training opportunities. And through custom, we can work specifically with the employees of the knitting mills and give them skills that they'd be able to go out and use in other employment.
Our family's spent 3 generations building something, and now we're changing it. So we'll move on. I'll become a landlord.
Pete, this is a gigantic warehouse. Tell me what's going on here.
Sweaters is a seasonal business, Joyce. We manufacture sweaters 12 months a year, but my customers only want them shipped to them in August, September, October for holiday and back to school selling. So we manufacture the sweaters, bag them, box them up, store them in these large racks, and then start releasing them to the people that want them. Usually in August, we start shipments to Land's End, LL Bean, Cabela's, JCPenney's. They can put them in their catalog service centers and in their stores.
So is this the final process for your sweater here at the mill?
This is the last step. When it leaves here, it'll be on its way to the customer, and somebody will buy it to put it under the Christmas tree. This building will just no longer be a knitting mill. As of next year, this building will be available for other manufacturing uses. This building was built as a spinning mill. It served as a mattress factory. It served as a machine shop. For the last 57 years, it's been a knitting mill. Next year, it'll be something else. I don't know what it'll be yet.
Pete, I'd like to thank you for taking us through your knitting mill. This has been a family business for a lot of years, and obviously a lot of families have been involved in this business for a lot of years.
Well, they sure have, Joyce.
I'm sorry to see it closing, and I know you are too.
Well, it's a shame. We've got a lot of people here that are going to have to go on and change their lives, but we'll get through it. And it's good for the community to find a place for these people.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
This has been Joyce Woodworth. Please join us on our next show on the Spirit of Winona.